All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome into Locker Room Sports Extra. Glad you come by and hang out with me today. We're going to do talking about some college football. We got a lot of good games to talk about. We're really going to break down and get into probably about three good games. We're going to get in there and talk about some of these and break them down. I'd like to thank Warrior Gym for sponsoring this part of the show here that we do at Locker Room Sports Extra. Trying to come on here Tuesday and Thursdays to talk about college football here on Tuesday night. Then on Thursday night, we'll have Polish Day podcast. And we'll talk about some local. There's just a few local games this Thursday. We don't have to dig around and try to find some more games to go over because most teams have finished their season and are waiting on to go into the playoffs. Cherokee County is waiting to go into playoffs, see if they're going to play the loser of Westminster and Westminster and Madison Academy, and Spring Garden is playing Ramburn this week. Cedar Bluff has Donahoe. Sandrock has Whitesburg Christian Friday to be to qualify for the playoffs. The way I've looked at some different things and talked to some different people, it seems like that's how that's going to weigh out with points of games from non-region opponents, and Gillsville has completed their season. So that's kind of what will be going on Thursday night. If you want to do some high school stuff local and around the state, we'll be talking about that. But here tonight, brought to you by Warrior Gym over here in town. Call John and get you a membership. Tell him you heard from me. $125 for the year. Lots of good equipment, clean place, got a tanning bed and a stand-up tanning bed. So go out and find the Warrior, and you get a hold of John today over here at Warrior Gym in town. So I guess first things first, Ohio State, Penn State. I'm just going to kind of go through these, and then I'll really get into more in depth in a couple of these that I'm going to mention. Ohio State at Penn State, 11 o'clock on Fox. Kind of just telling you the times and favored. Ohio State shows to be favored by 3 right now at this time. Ole Miss is going to be at Arkansas. It's going to be also be at 11 o'clock. It's on ESPN. Ole Miss favored by a touchdown in this game. Air Force is going to be at Army, and Army is favored by 3. Also 11 o'clock. That one's on CBS. Vanderbilt at Auburn. Very interesting game. Auburn's going to be favored by 6.5, 11:45 on SEC Network. The Ducks at Michigan, 2:30 CBS. The cocktail party, go there and have some shrimp down there at Jacksonville, Florida area. Georgia will be considered the home team in this game. They're favored by 2 touchdowns, 2:30 ABC. Kentucky is at Tennessee. Good rival game. Tennessee's going to be favored by about 2 touchdowns. It's going to be on the SEC Network about 6:45. And on here tomorrow night, our JSU Gamecocks, alma mater for probably a lot of people right here close that watch this show, they're going to go to Liberty and take on Liberty Flames. Quarterback Salter's a heck of a dynamic quarterback. I know they got dusted. I mean, just bad, embarrassing loss for Liberty last week against Kennesaw. I don't know what happened. Absolutely just did not show up. I never I don't know if I've seen a team be favored by so much and get beat so bad. But JSU, I had read on one place where shows Liberty had been favored like maybe Monday, and then today I seen it, and JSU's favored by 1.5. And it'll be on. You can watch this game now. It's going to be on at 6 o'clock on CBS tomorrow night, Wednesday night, tomorrow night. JSU Liberty. It's going to be a good game. So we won't keep you long on this show here. We usually try to get in here and get in about. I'm going to not be 45 minutes. Not going to be real long-winded. It's just a few good matchups games. So first out of the bat, we'll talk about JSU traveling to Liberty. Salter, the quarterback up at Liberty, he's very good. He is very dynamic. 1,280 yards on the year, 10 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. Running the ball, close to 600 yards. Kobe And then Sibley, their receivers, right at 400 yards. They're 32nd in offense with 2,600 yards, and they're 10th in rushing offense. Liberty is. Now, Huff has done a heck of a job. 1,400 yards for him already on the season. 8 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, and he don't throw it a whole lot. Stewart he's got 11 touchdowns, also running the ball there, and Vaughn reaching out about 350 yards for JSU receiver. JSU's got over 3,000 yards. I mean, they're into that 3,200 yard mark. So far as offense, number 12 right now in the nation. And like I said, Liberty's 32nd. They are 5. JSU is number 5 in rushing offense. And a big part of that offense is from Huff, their quarterback. He's a good player. He's fun to watch. I enjoy how he plays the game. He runs the offense that Coach Rich Rod, I've heard some commentators say that he's not the originator of like the RPO, but he was one of the early guys to run that kind of offense. The way that we've seen these teams play last week, JSU coming off a nice win, Liberty coming off a terrible loss. I just got to go with JSU, really. If we're just going to pick the game, to pick a winner in this game. I think they're hitting on all cylinders right now. They're 3-0 in conference. I think they'll be 4-0 after this game. That'll put them at 5-3 for the season with a win. Liberty is 3-1 in the conference. They're 5-1 overall. I just think momentum right now. Liberty could turn this thing around. God, they just play so bad, man. I didn't even really watch a lot of the Liberty and Kennesaw State game because I think they were favored by like 3 touchdowns. I think it may have went down to 17.5 at one time, before the game. But I just kind of feel like, wow, JSU has the opportunity to – it would be another great win for them. They keep them undefeated, be 4-0 for region play in the conference there. So I think it's going to be a good game. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night game, 6:30. It's going to be on CBS at 6 o'clock. So I think it'll be a fun game to watch. I'm definitely going to be watching the game. Tune in with me over there. We may do we could do a watch party thing. I could come on in here and turn the game on and turn on the live camera and watch the game, talk about it, and chat with you guys if you want to come on here and do that. Next game, Ohio State, Penn State. Ohio State's 35th in rushing with 1,300 yards, 18 touchdowns. Penn State's 29th in rushing, 1,380 with 13 touchdowns. And I'll bring all this up to tell you that Ohio State is favored by a field goal. But, as you can see, we know what the records are. I can go back and see the games of one. Penn State has hung on and played a close overtime-style game with USC. And we know USC's not just smoking people, and they're not just beating the doors down in the college football world right now. I think that shows some weak spots for Penn State. What time is the game? It's 11 o'clock on Fox, so it's going to be the big noon kickoff. It'll be a whiteout. It'll be wild in there. It'll be crazy. Man, Ohio State just can't run the ball. These guys that left Alabama, there's some have succeeded and been a contributor to the team, not been crazy standouts, but have contributed somewhat. But like Roy Dale, tailback, played good at Bama last year, went to Florida State. And I went for like weeks, looking at his stats. And he had like 50 yards rushing like in total by like week 3. And then Junkins, I mentioned that to say that, him coming from Ole Miss, And Caleb Downs, playing defense, it feels like Ohio State was the perfect built team. They went out and spent the perfect amount of money, and they go get Chip Kelly from UCLA, which ran the Oregon program, and it's such a high rate of offense that they're known around the world. I think he kind of put Oregon on the map, if you just want to be honest with it, in the early mid 2000s. I just don't think if I had to pick the game, I don't think Penn State's ready. I just don't. But if Ohio State goes in there and lays an egg at Penn State, I know Ohio State fans are, kind of ornery and, questionable about how Coach Day and his record there. And he just, he can't beat these AP top 10 teams. But all the other, games outside of that, he usually wins. They played Oregon a great game. Ohio State and Boise State were the only teams to, have 4 touchdowns. That point margin area against Oregon. So I think they figured out, and I think they're going to have a good day running the ball. I mean, with Henderson and Junkins, they got 2 great wide receivers also. So I'm going to assume Ohio State figures it out and learns how to get it done. Now, Auburn and Vanderbilt. Auburn's going to be favored in this game. They was favored by a touchdown. I hadn't looked at it today. I don't know if they usually creep down as it gets more closer to Saturday. I don't know if it's going to stay there, or if it might wind up at a 5.5 is kind of an odd number usually for points favored. 11:45 on SEC Network. Gosh, man, we've seen Vanderbilt play last week and how they played with Texas, and they can hang around with just about anybody, man. They have the offense, and Coach Lee and Coach Hale that's come in and with Pava. I think they have the ability to match up and play with a lot of teams. I don't know if they can win all those games. Auburn going up to Kentucky, and I had picked Auburn to win, but not with a lot of confidence. A 1 out of 10 scale would probably have been like a 2. 10 being very confident that they would win. They just hadn't showed me that they could win. Well, they have. They figured it out. They learned how to run the football again. It's kind of like the kid, you take the training wheels off their bike, and Auburn learns how to run the football again. Like, it's just something they just forgot how to do for some reason. So I believe that I think that Vanderbilt can keep it close. And honestly, how the seasons went, it wouldn't surprise me crazily that there could be a time where Vanderbilt kicks a field goal to maybe win the game. That kind of thing could happen. I think that's it's a possibility. Now, as far as clock management, Texas had the ball 31 minutes against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt only had the ball for 28 minutes. And that's their game, is to keep the ball. And actually, Texas played a little keep away from them. So this is going to be a real good test for Coach Freeze, because Vanderbilt's the team that it's hard to prep for a team like that. I mean, you got like 5 days to kind of get ready for this. It's not an RPO style offense. It's a real triple threat style option. He's got guys moving around the backfield. He can keep it. He can pitch it. He can throw it out of it. And there's just people moving around in a lot of different ways. And following the guard don't always take you to the ball with Vanderbilt. It don't. I've watched the highlights from them playing Alabama and Texas. And that's the kind of the places that I watch. I always watch the line. That's kind of the place I always like to keep eye on, watch the fat boys up there. Because that's how you can tell how the line of scrimmage is being won, who's getting the real push, in the backfield. What's up, Jeff? Yeah, Jeff says that Auburn ran the ball against Kentucky. They did. Hunter had a good game, 278 yards, but he feels like Vandy's defense is much better. What's going on, Cody? So here's the thing with Auburn and Vandy, and I had mentioned that it's going to be a good test for Coach Freeze to circle back around to this. He likes to go fast, but Auburn likes to play fast when they have the lead, and they just hadn't had the lead very much. And what that kind of does is they feel like they have more confidence when they're ahead, but they wind up trying to hurry when they're behind. But what's been happening when you hurry and you're behind and you're not playing very well, and like they're rushing offense, like 33rd, 34th in the nation. They only have like so many rushing touchdowns, and their red zone offense is not good. So it's going to be interesting to see how Coach Freeze wants to slow the ball down to keep the ball away from Vandy. But, it's mashing the gas and letting off and knowing when to change gears and knowing when to slow down and downshift and just kind of muddle along and let the clock run. That's why running the ball and play defense goes hand in hand. When you run the ball, the clock runs. And by controlling the time, it does keep it away from the other team. So if Auburn can run the ball and keep the clock moving and play defense and have, Vanderbilt punt, I think if they can force 6 or 8 punts out of them, I think they can win the game. I think Auburn can win the game if they can force Vanderbilt to punt 6 or 8 times. But it's just going to be a game of keep away because Coach Lee is going to want to kind of do the same thing. They kind of go fast and line up, but then they may wait once they get up on center to get a play in, and they have guys moving around. It's not like they hurry to the line and snap the ball quickly and then run the play. And Auburn does that too. They'll hurry up and get to the line of scrimmage, but and then maybe fake the clap, and then they look to the sideline for the play. So some of that part of the style of their ball is kind of similar, but other than that, there's no similarities. Can Vandy slow their run game down better than Kentucky? Yes. I think they can. I think they play well assigned football. And I'm not sure that McLeod and the Masuo Jr. that led the team in tackles for Auburn last year, those last game against Kentucky, those two guys, if they can cause some havoc in the backfield versus Vandy, I don't – because Vanderbilt's pretty good up front. I mean, you can – they almost beat Texas. And, Sark has built a good team from the inside. He knows how to build a good team. And Coach Lee does too. I mean, it's no secret how to build a good team. It runs inside out. I think it's going to be a very interesting game. Very interesting game. And, again, Auburn be hosting Vanderbilt, favored by 6.5 at 11:45 on SEC Network. Oregon at Michigan, the Ducks favored by 14, 2:30 CBS. Yeah, I know that Auburn hadn't had getting a win period. I think has definitely helped Auburn a lot. Just winning a game. They're 1-what right now in the conference? 1-4, 1-3. So getting a win may be the boost, but do you know can he get them back down and get them level and get them back down to believing, all right, one win is not enough. We got to win out to even try to make a bowl game. That's going to be the interesting part. A lot of this is on, and when I know a lot of this is just coaching, and getting your teams back down, but they'll focus. We'll find out 11:45 on the SEC Network. Oregon and Michigan, the game being at Michigan, I think it helps. I do know that Oregon has traveled a lot in the past 3-4 weeks. They've been around and around. They've traveled out to Purdue, and obviously it didn't matter very much for that. But what's interesting about this matchup, what one team is good at passing, the other one's passing defense. It's just, kind of subpar. So, and the A&M and South Carolina game also has that kind of matchup. One of them is not real good at stopping the pass, and other team's not real good at stopping the run. The other team's been running the ball a lot. So, where one is strong, the other is weak. Until Michigan can show they can have some kind of pass game, I don't look for them to be able to take any advantage of that game. I would probably think Oregon could still be favored to win 2:30 at CBS. They may be able to keep it interesting for a little while, but overall, I don't. Florida at Georgia, this is usually a huge game. Some people's polls that they do their computer, they punch in Georgia and Bama and whatnot. And right now, Georgia is an 8-point favorite against Alabama. I know that sounds crazy. And what that means is that has to do with this game. It means where these computers have confidence in where Georgia is right now. They're favored by 2 touchdowns against Florida. Has Florida played well? Yeah. Billy Kidd has got his quarterback more confident and willing to make the plays that he needs to make in situations. Different times, third down conversions and those kind of things are key, super important. And I just don't think that Florida can convert the ball enough times to keep it long enough to have a long drives to keep the ball away from Georgia enough to where I think they can probably give Beck some trouble. I mean, he's been throwing for, 300 or 400 yards a game easy in some of these games. So Florida could probably make it interesting for a little while, but Georgia's going to be considered the home team. 2:30 ABC, I still think they're probably it. Kentucky at Tennessee. Can Tennessee show that they can score the ball in the first half of a dang football game? It's crazy. They play it on SEC Network that night, like 6:45, probably kick about 5 till 7. I guess they could, just Kentucky and Coach Stoops. And they've got to win. Kentucky really needs to win this game. Really, really, really bad. They really need to win this game. They're going to fool around here and not make a bowl game. And with Vandergrift coming in, and I know they're tailbacks, so it's kind of hard to pick it because both their tailbacks. Jeff, he's talked about their tailbacks. The guy come from Michigan. Ohio State. But he ain't played. He's been hurt. So all these thoughts we had with Vandergrift at the quarterback position and this tailback they were going to have there at Kentucky, we were thinking they could probably win 7, 8. Probably 8 would be the high for them. 9 if just something, they kind of break out on somebody and win a game they're not supposed to. But what's happened is they're losing games that nobody really thought them to lose because he needs that complimentary piece. That's why Nussmeier's they're drowning him on Twitter about he's bad. You got to have a complimentary piece, man. Greg McElroy and A.J. McCarron are only so great at Alabama. They had complimentary backs. They can keep the pressure off keep guys from putting freaking 7 guys up on the line, and you only got 5 or maybe even 6 if you play 11 personnel or something. Try to block, So that could be a problem for Kentucky. I don't just think they're going to start running the ball magically Saturday at 6:45. Coach, I don't know. Nico and Coach Heupel, they got to get together and figure out. I don't know, man. He just comes out so flat, and when the quarterbacks kind of get scared to throw a pick, like you can tell, like they're just nervous they're going to throw a pick, and that's what happened to Wagon at A&M. He just, and after you throw one or two, it just kind of goes downhill. That's what happened to us at LSU. And you could just see him like that blank look in his eyes, like that last one he threw to the defensive end that backed out when he just going to dump it off to his running back there. He just kind of wigs out, and I don't think Tennessee will have a problem beating Kentucky. I don't. Again, tomorrow night, JSU guys. JSU is going to be playing at Liberty. Jacksonville State's favored by 1.5 as of right now. Huff, 8 touchdowns, and with only 4 picks. I think JSU can take it to Liberty, but Liberty's good, man. They've played a good year, and they just laid a big old donkey egg. I mean, a big old pile of it right out in the middle of that field against Kennesaw. Now, 29 minutes, about where we like to be. Let's see here. The Outdoor Cocktail Bowl. This is probably be the last one at Jacksonville. I've heard that for a few years due to a new stadium being built. Yeah, I don't know what is wrong with Trainum. So he's the 3rd string at Kentucky. You won't stand a chance against. Yeah, I don't know what he must have blew his knee out. Jeff, tell me if you hit the Google there. I ain't hear nothing. Trainum. That's why I think he's good. I think he could have made a big difference at Kentucky. I really do. You got to have a quarterback. I mean, again, guys that are not Heisman quarterbacks need a compliment. You can have a good quarterback, man. A.J. McCarron's my favorite quarterback I've ever played at Alabama. He threw for over 10,000 yards. Won 2 national championships as a starter. But he had good backs. So I just don't think without being run the ball, they're not going to be able to make it. Now, as you can see on the cover of the video here, if you're watching on YouTube, guys, subscribe to the channel. We have about 60 or 70% of our watchers for YouTube are not subscribed. And all it does is just let you know when we go live. Tuesday, Thursday at 5, Sunday at 6, we do our full show. It's about a 2-hour show. On Sunday nights, we do the games that played Saturday, and we'll talk about some of the upcoming games. And on Tuesdays, I get more involved and give a few more stats and try to give – I'm just kind of being the lawyer and kind of giving you guys some info of who you like to pick. And some people like to bet, put a little money out there on some of this. Maybe some information I can give you could help you with that if that's what you like to do. So – Texas A&M, they're going to take it on the road. And this is going to be a chance for them and a chance for Coach Elko to show his first year in being there at A&M and where he's at right now with just 1 loss coming at the first of the year against Notre Dame, which is still – hanging around in the top 10 because I guess their helmets are gold. It's the only reason. I don't know. But it's an opportunity for him as a coach and his staff to be able to go to South Carolina. And this game is 6:30 on ABC. 6:30 ABC. A&M's favored by 2.5. Some computer models like South Carolina by 2.5. And me being one of those, I think that LSU kind of give it away. I think that LSU's defense played like they've never seen an RPO before, and I just hadn't seen a college football team besides the Alabama game against Vanderbilt, a team to act like they're like this RPO style option, and their quarterback when they played here. Let's see who is. Yeah. What was this guy's name here? I meant to write this down. Yeah, Reed. Reed, the quarterback at A&M. I mean, he's just straight up high school, nothing weird. They're just, running RPO stuff. He's just reading the end. If the end crashes, he's pulling it and taking off with it. Guys, there was a couple of times that LSU's ends, they were even winning some of the battles up front against A&M's tackles, and they would have two guys in the backfield, and both of them would crash the quarterback. Both of them would crash the tailback as he's coming across. And as he's coming across and they both crash, well, what do you think he's going to do? He's just going to pull it, keep it. He's going to tear off. I don't know. I'm kind of blown away that we have college athletes, great college athletes, to act like they hadn't seen that kind of offense. So LSU just kind of give it away. And I don't want to hear from nobody, and I don't need no Twitter blast about Nussmeier being a bad quarterback. He's not a bad quarterback. I can see how he plays. I know he had 3 turnovers, but he was put in those situations to throw the ball in times that they probably should have been running the ball, but they can't. They're not figuring out how to run the ball. They don't have a tailback. It's a big problem at LSU. It's a huge problem. Coach Kelly needs to figure it out like today, because Tuscaloosa is coming to town. And Bama's going to play them well up front. Now, I know LSU will be favored, and we'll talk about that game Sunday. But that's something you got to think about because A&M and LSU and how they matched up. I just think that Coach Beamer and it being there at South Carolina, and when that sandstorm music cranks up, it's going to be electric. It's going to be wild, and it's definitely probably that's why I think it's the best game of the weekend for me. It is. That's just for me. A&M traveling to South Carolina, favored by 2.5. Now, A&M is 9th in rushing with 1772 on the yard, 21 touchdowns, and South Carolina is 64th with just a little over 1,100 yards and only 13 touchdowns. But as I mentioned earlier about these flip-flopping, how some teams are good at one and some are better at things that the other team is not good at, that's kind of what we run into here. And I think A&M is like 90th in pass defense, and SC is like 100th in passing offense. So where does that leave us? One team is 90th in stopping the pass, and the other team is only 100th in the pass. So that tells me I think it's going to be a lower scoring game. I'm probably looking at a 31-28 type of game. Seriously, I don't think either team goes over 32 points. I think 32 points wins the game for whichever team can score 30. That's what I'm thinking. Here's the thing with that, Tori. No, man, we ready to go, baby. We fired up. We're ready to dig off in the morning and get some more tater chips. SC, they got a defensive end, Kyle Kennard. Kyle Kennard, number 5. Y'all seen him play against Alabama. I know Bama shut South Carolina out. But he's a dude, man. He's a good football player. Go back and watch highlights of Alabama and South Carolina. Watch some other highlights of him and just find him on the end down there. This Kennard kid, big, strong, fast guy. He gives a lot of trouble for the offensive line. So I just don't think he's going to be as fooled as LSU's defensive line was, because they're going to start Wegman at A&M. I'm probably pretty sure that's what's going to happen. But as things start getting a little sideways, Elko may pull him and put in Reed and try that same plan that they tried against LSU. And I don't think it works the same, because they got this guy on the other end too. I think he was 11. Yeah, Fortune. He's got 8 tackles. Kennard had 6 against Alabama. So this Fortune guy, Kyle Kennard at South Carolina, I think they stay at home. I think they can play good defense, and but and SC's pass defense is not great either. But I mean, A&M's not just lighting the field up. I mean, they are 9th in rushing. So I think where A&M is strong in running the ball, I just told you these guys here. I think they're strong enough to slow down A&M's rushing game enough to keep it close. And I think SC can play with them. Seller, he's a special talent. And then being at home and being a night game, Coach Beamer he's a good coach. There's a lot of good coaches in the SEC right now. Seriously. There is. Who's the guy at Lebby. Dude, Jeff, I know. Jeff Lebby is at Mississippi State. I know they're the bottom. He's a good coach. I mean, it takes time. Their program, their coach died, okay, at Mississippi State. Coach Leach, he died, and they just got put in a pickle real quick, and then their defensive coach had to step up and try to fill in, and he's part of that staff too, and he lost a friend and a coach. So there's good coaches in the SEC, and Elko and Beamer, I'm just going to go with the home team. I'm picking South Carolina. I'll put you a little check mark right there. 40 minutes, about where we need to be. Get off here. So I'll take South Carolina I think they can give A&M enough trouble. A&M's going to try to run the ball. Now, will they hit some big plays? Yes. And we've seen that A&M's defense give up some big plays. But I know Lacey, the receiver at LSU, he's good, man. So giving up big plays to him is not a big deal because he's really good. So it's just a gut feeling I have. It's how I see the matchup play out. And football's like matchups. You have to see the matchup. It's like boxing. And that's that's how I identify things and how I see to pick games. And I don't mean I'm always right, but I'm right a lot more than I'm wrong. I'm just not a passerby that just walks by the window and looks, as I'm walking by these games and these teams. We talk about it and study it a lot. And A&M could win the game. They may go there and beat them 28-14. Maybe South Carolina Settler can't get nothing going. The defense is giving up big gash plays to A&M. Elko's just really got the guys dialed in right now. I think with a win at South Carolina, they're going to be like, what will they be, 5-1 in the conference then? Guys, I think with that win, I have to go back and look at their schedule a little more. They only got another game or two. Probably 2 more tough games. Oklahoma's Oklahoma. A&M's in a great position to win the SEC. Elko's first year, or at least play for it. They're in a good position by winning this game, and it's going to be a good test. And talking about the thumbnail there. So that's kind of where I feel about it. And I think most of these games and how they're picked and how they're scored. Jacksonville State plays tomorrow night, favored. I think they can go to Liberty and win the game. Auburn's favored by touchdown against Vandy. Auburn's got a good shot at home. They're believing right now, but can they sustain that? Can they capture these moments of lightning in the bottle moments? Can they contain that and keep riding this wave out? Because their games are not getting easier for them too. Ohio State, Penn State, yeah, Ohio State's they got more talent than anybody, but they ain't proved they didn't run the ball. I don't know what's going on up there, man. No clue. I don't think Michigan's got a whole lot for Oregon, and Tennessee should be able to take care of Kentucky. Florida, Georgia, I don't know. It's just another one of those weird feelings I have, kind of like with the SC and A&M game. I'm not picking Florida to beat Georgia, but Georgia's like the kid that stumbles around in the dark looking for the switch. Is looking for the light switch to turn the light on, and you just keep hearing bang, boom. He just keeps hitting his toe, and he cusses and hollers, and they finally find this light switch, and they get the light on, and they get done what they need to get done. That's what Georgia reminds me of, just absolutely stumbling and bumbling around in the dark. I don't know what's wrong with this. It's not just them either. It's how they're trying to play ball. I've watched Georgia closely twice. Guys, they come out in their first set of offense – both games, throwing the ball. I mean, like the first 7 plays. Georgia went like 7 plays throwing. They may have put out a play action or something. They're throwing the ball all over the place. And if you drop it, or, when they make first downs, and it stops the clock. And it's just it's changed how their style is. And I don't know what Bobo do. It seems like Bobo and Nick Sheridan at Bama are trying to get their quarterbacks to win the Heisman. That's what it looks like. It's either that or those 2 quarterbacks are on a take somewhere with Joey the Fish in Vegas and throwing games. I've just seen them play just so great. And then just like the next week, they're terrible. I don't understand. I have never seen such waves of college football, of football players. Just I've seen in high school some, but those are teenagers. I mean, they're talking about 15, 16, 17-year-old boys mostly. I can see it with them. They have a lot of stuff going on at home and family stuff. Not like college players don't either, but there's some things going on, and reffing's terrible. They're not going to hold them accountable. I'm just going to give it up. I'm tired of talking about throwing kids out for target, and that's ridiculous. It's stupid. So I think for the most part, the games, and you can look it up on the computer and how they're picked and who they got favored to win, I think most of them all go that way, except one. I think Kyle Kennard and Fortune, these 2 defensive guys, man, I think they have a good chance to spoil the day for Texas A&M as they come into their house and try to beat them. I just do. Could be wrong. That's okay. So we'll see how it goes. Tune in. Remember, tomorrow night, Jacksonville State plays at Liberty. That'll be a good game. If you like football, that'll be a good one just to chill out and sit down and watch. So come back Thursday night. We'll do high school stuff. There's not a lot of high school games around here. Went through that on the open of the show. But I'll look around and find some interesting games for us to talk about. Season's about to come to an end, and college is starting to find that tuning point, man. Here in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks for sure, we're going to find out where everybody's at. Just put up or shut up time. So thank you guys a bunch. Love you guys. Come back and hang out with me Thursday night about 5 o'clock, and we'll see you then. All right. God bless you. Have a good day.